How's it going, everybody? I'm here at DEF CON, and I'm with Vlad Gustamelski. And you want to say what your title is?
I'm a senior security engineer with Spartan Federal Systems. I work with GPS systems, vehicle systems. We examine vehicle security, system integrity issues of various components and platforms.
Okay, so the reason that I'm talking to Vlad here is that almost a week ago, there was a tweet from Defend Europe. This is the Generation Identity mission in the Mediterranean, where they were showing that an NGO ship called Open Arms was about 1 mile off the Libyan coast. And the question was, if they're a search and rescue vessel, why are they in Libyan waters? Now, someone allegedly from Open Arms tweeted that their AIS signal was hacked. So that's the automatic identification system that boats send out and radios pick up, and it can help you find out where the position of these ships are. I'm not an expert, but Vlad is. So right now, we're going to look through the AIS data, where it shows the previous locations of where the signal hit radio towers, and try and figure out if this ship was really hacked. We might not be able to figure out definitively, but we might be able to see if there's any strange anomalies, or if there's a clear path this boat took into Libyan waters. So for now, we're just doing a bit of the preliminary stuff.
So what we have is an Excel export of all the radio data that was received. It gives us every data point for the period, the time period of interest. And what we have is the information about the radio station that actually received the signal and the AS signal. It's important to point out that the AS signal actually is not encrypted or authenticated in any way. You could program any transmitter to broadcast any ship name, essentially. There is no security. So we're going to be looking for interesting data outliers, variations of speed that are not reasonable for the vessel of that size and the engine capability, looking for unreasonable jumps, etc., as well as possible receiving stations that don't typically bring in the data from the region where the boat is positioned at that time.
Okay, so I think just to sort of give the gist of it, it is very easy to pretend to be someone else. Is that?
It is absolutely trivial. It does not take any hacking knowledge. Anybody who can operate a simple ship radio can spoof the ship's location.
All right, well, let's see what happens.
So I have the raw data, and I'll start by going through and highlighting data that seemed a little anomalous. I'm looking at the average speed, and as you can see, in most cases they're cruising at about 5 knots, 3 knots. And then we have some interesting data points where it's cruising a little bit above 60 knots, 30 knots, and one at 61.44 knots. So what I'm going to do now is going to go through and look at the speeds at the ship's velocity over a longer time period to see if it's actually even capable of that speed, or if this is one of the data points that places where the ship actually cannot be, that this is an unreasonable jump in the velocity in the ocean.
Okay, so you noticed something really, really interesting about this. You want to explain the speed and what this means?
That's right, Tim. Looking at the raw data, I noticed one of the data points where the speed of the ship would have to be 61.44 knots in order for it to be at this location as opposed to its previous location.
Okay, so there's two like pings.
Correct. We have two sets of coordinates. So north, essentially the latitude and longitude, and they're fairly close together in time. And in order for the ship to have moved from one point to the other, it would have to have traveled at the speed of 61.44 knots.
Okay, so how fast is that in miles per hour?
I would have to do the exact math.
But you can show us a video of what that looks like?
I can show you a short clip of what it would look like. And
this video says super fast, 70 miles an hour. Okay, so it's 70 miles an hour, and that's...
Roughly, yes. So essentially it's the speed of somebody hauling ass on a jet ski or a military fast attack boat, not a typical rescue vessel.
So right, just to clarify, in your opinion, a salvage and rescue vehicle can't travel 70 miles per hour on water?
Not under typical circumstances, no, and certainly not under load, and not at the location where it was.
Okay, so it seems like that speed is unreasonable. Very unlikely, you would say?
It is absolutely unlikely, especially looking at the ship's history, where we see it averaging 16 knots in most circumstances.
So, but the location it jumped to, can you pull up the map? the coordinates from that jump put it just off the coast of Libya. So what it sounds like to me is that the ship can't travel that fast, and that means somebody, somehow, their signal appeared off the coast of Libya. That's not like that seems like someone might be spoofing their signal.
Correct. So there's a few possibilities. One is somebody who actually was off the coast of Libya, programmed their AES transmitter with the open arms ship information, and actually keyed up the radio and made a broadcast. Or somebody who was elsewhere, programmed the AES receiver with the ship's information, spoofed the GPS location, and sent that beacon.
So, seems like it was that simple to find out that their signal may have been spoofed.
Correct. It just took a little bit of open source intelligence and probably an hour total of some light math.
All right. Can we plug in all the coordinates and see a path? Is that possible, or is that too difficult?
It would take a little bit of time, yes. We would convert the Excel file to a KML file and plot out the ship's path.
Can you do it?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, so this is these points on this map. These are from the early 25th until the 26th is what we're seeing.
Correct.
I believe that's what we have with sheet 1, and it looks like there's a clear path the ship was taking, but it also looks like these and these don't quite make sense.
Correct. So it looks like a normal path of a ship. We do see some jumps, likely due to GPS errors. They're especially common outside the United States, where the GPS accuracy is degraded. They're especially more evident in conflict zones. And we see some interesting jumps. This in particular, because it appears to place it almost inside a port in Libya, as opposed to out on the ocean or possibly out in international waters.
Is there a way that we can see this? I mean, honestly, to me, this all looks very close. I mean, obviously, there's a big difference between that and that. But is there a way we can see on the satellite image just how far away it is?
Yes, we could use the measure distance tool to see whether it's 7 miles off the coast of international waters or 14 miles out, or whether it is well within the territorial waters.
All right. 12 miles.
So
okay,
that's well outside the 7 miles out in international waters.
So these all look like they're operating within international waters, and that's
correct. So if you're looking at the dot that appears to be the closest dot to the coast, that appears to be a legitimate location, and you're seeing 12 miles and change from the territorial waters, which is well outside the 7 miles.
All right. So let's now compare the one that's very, very obviously, just off the coast.
1.7 miles, 1.5 miles. So if you're a strong, confident swimmer, well within swimming distance. Possibly, definitely close enough to deploy a ship boarding or a boarding craft.
Okay.
To bring people on board.
So when we look at these points, this is all from within, 1 day, less than 24 hours. This jump, as we saw in the data point, would mean the ship is required to be traveling at 70 miles per hour, which, as you said earlier, is very, very unlikely. So, in your opinion, is this likely to be a manipulated signal?
So these two data points are the ones that were over 60 knots an hour. It is highly unlikely that this is legitimate data. It does appear to have been placed there either maliciously and intentionally, but does not appear to have come from the legitimate AES transponder on the ship.
So I guess another thing I want to clarify is that one of these guys associated with Open Arms tweeted out their AIS signal was hacked, but I think he misspoke. He doesn't understand what he really meant. No one hacked their signal. Can you explain can you explain what a spoof is and how that would work?
Correct. So nobody hacked the signal because you essentially don't hack the signal. You either have a malicious transponder that you program with the same name as the ship and broadcast from the location where you want the ship to appear to be, or in the lab scenario, you could comfortably sit at the workbench, program the radio with the ship transponder's name, set up a GPS spoofing device, and simply push GPS data where you want the ship to appear to be.
So basically, no one's screwing with their boat. They're cloning the radio signal of their boat and then making it appear somewhere else.
Correct. They're programming another AES transponder with their ship's name and broadcasting the location accurately.
Right on, man. All right. Thank you for showing all this. Seriously, that's very interesting. Okay, so I guess what I want to clarify here is that there's a question from conservatives as to whether or not the NGOs are operating legally or illegally, and we've heard from Lauren Southern, we've heard from Defend Europe, Generation Identity, that these NGOs are operating as ferry services or at the very least incentivizing migrants to take this journey, which could be dangerous. And again, so we saw this tweet from Defend Europe showing the open arms NGO rescue vessel within Libyan territory, but I'm speaking with an expert right now who we looked at the data and it very much looks like this is not legitimate. The question then becomes, who would spoof the AIS signal, the identification signal of this vessel to make it appear like they're in international waters? And that's a question I can't answer. All I can do is tell you that from an expert opinion, it looks like this is not legitimate, and I think that raises some very interesting questions that we'll need to look into. But that's a much bigger investigation. So I really wanted to, when I saw this tweet from Defend Europe, I got really curious because this is something that we can verify, and this is what we're able to look into. So I will make an attempt to contact Open Arms to see if what they have to say about this, if there's any more information. But comment below and let me know what you think. It's very interesting. It's fascinating. Somebody is, at least it seems, somebody is trying to manipulate the apparent location of these vessels, and for a reason I can't say. So if you like the video, click the like button. If there's something that matters to you, share it. Let people know that it's something we're seeing. New videos every day at 4 p.m. I'm going to dwell on this and see where I can go from here. But if you want to support the work that I do, go to patreon.com/timcast. Give whatever you'd like, give nothing at all. My videos will always be free and available. But I will have some exclusive behind-the-scenes stuff or previews at minds.com/timcast. So minds.com/timcast. Stay tuned. If I get an update on all this data or something new comes along, I will have an update. I will post a video. I will see you all tomorrow at 4 p.m.